Hello, I'm Nathan Barnatt, a former Gravedigger from New England, and welcome to The Whole Story. Today, I have a very special guest who knows a lot about all things spooky, Suzy Burhow.
Wow, nice to be here.
Oh,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me.
Wow.
This is my fancy studio.
You're
in the middle of the
humble,
woods.
Yeah.
There's actually a spooky man behind you in the woods. If you turn right down, do you see him? Where is he? No, farther back. He's like on the other side.
Yes.
That's him. You
That
found
looks
him.
like a shadow person.
I think it is supposed to be a shadow person, or it's just a guy taking a leak in the woods.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And
I don't know what's scarier.
we have another special guest with us, Frankenstein, the dog. He's not much of a Frankenstein anymore though, because he's only got one Frankenstein tooth.
He's so sweet. He's a good co-host.
Until the mailman comes, he's sweet. He's like cliche. He barks at the mailman.
Yeah,
So,
you're basically like Disney style. What was it? The Gravekeeper there and the ride. Have you been on the Haunted Mansion ride? And they have the guy with the Gravedigger with the dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's kind of like me and Frank.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You just need like some like keys on your hip.
Oh,
and
wow.
just to be carrying a shovel at all times.
I did have keys on my hip when I worked at the cemetery, so I could get into the shed and unlock all the mowers and everything. We had like cables running through the mowers. So I did have the cliche keys. You know, I'm on a Disney ride. I'm one of the people. It's in, where did the last Disney World open up? China, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I'm one of the pirates in the ride. It's on the Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
I wasn't allowed to talk about it for a long time. Maybe I'm not supposed to still.
Did they like mocap you for
I think
it?
yeah, so it was crazy. It was they like put barnacles all over me, and I was in this thing like this. So like when you go down, I think that park's open now, so maybe I can talk about it.
I mean, yeah, Hong Kong Disney.
Yeah, is that open now?
Yeah. Oh, it's been open for years.
Okay, cool. I did it in like 2014, I think. Was it open then? It must have been opening.
Yeah.
Anyways, you go on the boat. You like go underwater. Right when the ride starts, the first thing you see that's like spooky is these two guys in like the things, and it's me and this other guy. And we had barnacles all over our face, and they had like crazy cameras all over us. And it was because we're holograms. My face is a hologram.
Yeah.
And I had to say like all these Chinese words, but I didn't know how to say the Chinese words.
Yeah.
So what they had us do is say other sounds and words that weren't words that would make my mouth look like I'm saying those words.
Yeah.
So I'd say like steering bike, tree stump, moo, moo, peepa. And it was like just weird things. But I would say that, and then it would look like I said, blah, 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 you know, the Chinese words. So, anyway, they made me think of that, and I haven't mentioned that to anyone in like a long time.
That's amazing.
And that's kind of a haunted thing. I guess I'm a ghost pirate that's stuck in the thing, so I guess it's kind of appropriate for this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so cool. You should go and film
I
yourself on the ride doing the thing.
Oh, maybe that's me. They'll be like, huh, what? Get out of the way. Yeah, I want to. I would love to go see it.
It's
I
like
Googled
Johnny
pictures.
Depp. He like goes on the Pirates of the Caribbean and like is himself. What if you just
I
on
heard
and were
that.
yourself?
Oh, that's so cool. It'd be very underwhelming. And they'll go, oh. Either they'll think there's a homeless man who's sleeping in the ride, or they realize it's the guy who wants a second more attention than he could get. I got paid pretty well for that, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it was Disney, and it was like, it was a good deal. Yeah, I don't know how I got that. I think someone saw a video or something.
Well, like, speaking of Disney and, like, the Haunted Mansion ride, that was one of the first things that got me into grave markings.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got to talk about these grave markings. I had no idea this was a thing.
Yeah.
So you know what markings mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like, completely fascinating. Victorians were obsessed with death.
Really?
Like, that was their jam. Like, every day they'd wake up and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to die. I should enjoy today.
Yeah,
like, that was how they started
that's
their
like
day.
a nice way to think. You can't do that anymore. Well, you try to, but it's hard.
They had this thing called, like, Memento Mori, which is, like, remember to die. And basically, like, every day they would remind themselves about that. So that was a daily part of life. And it all started because of Victoria losing Prince Albert. And when he died, she went into mourning, I think, for, like, 8 years.
Wow.
And she only wore black. And that's where it kind of started. So back in Victorian times,
why was she wearing black? Because she was just depressed.
She was just in personal mourning.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she was like the first person to do that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And like, well, because she did it, it set the tone for every like lady. She had to be the same way.
Wow.
So if their significant other died, they also would go into mourning for years and years at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. So
was it like a rule to mourn for a certain amount of time, like
well,
to
like,
show respect for the person who died?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, like, even like people would have to show how much they were mourning. Like women, for example, would
to prove
carry...
to people how sad they were.
Yeah. Have you heard of tear catchers?
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh my God. So another Victorian thing, women would collect like perfume sample bottles, and then when they would empty, they would use them to collect their tears, and they would seal off the vial once it was full of tears, and they would give it back to their significant other when they returned from war. But if they didn't come back, then they just had this vial of tears.
So when their significant other would like come back from death?
Oh no, from war or something.
Oh, from war.
But like
okay,
sometimes
okay.
if they wouldn't, they would just have this vial of tears.
So mourning isn't
how
just
much
death.
they miss them. Oh yeah. Mourning is like a whole thing. But
wow.
I mean, even
That's
going
so
into
weird.
they're so obsessed with it. It was everywhere. But even going back to the grave markings, each marking represented a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like even when you go through graveyards today in America, you'll find graves that have things like lambs on them.
Yep.
And that represents like a child who might have died too soon, because like it's like a Lamb of God thing.
Yeah.
But Victorians weren't big on putting religious markers on graves.
Okay.
Yeah, so you won't find like a lot of crosses or things like that. But for example, like a bale of hay would mean that someone lived a full life. They had a great time. They were a full harvest.
What year is this type of thing taking place? Like what year? What is the date?
1800s.
I guess the Victorian times.
Yeah, just around like the 1800s.
Okay.
And like a rose that was like the stem would be broken would meant that they were cut down before their time. Like
wow.
if it was a young
that's
woman.
Clever.
Yeah. I mean, they had all kinds of things. The most famous ones you'll see in graveyards today are skulls with wings, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of those.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, that's just kind of literal representation of an angel going on.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see an hourglass with wings.
I've seen that. I've seen many of those.
Yeah, that's like the passage of time and passing on from that. So, I mean, there's so many.
As you're like talking, I'm trying to remember, because at the cemetery, I would weed whack around every headstone, and I would read them all and look at all the images, but I don't remember what I saw. I can't remember shapes. I know, like, the Jewish star and crosses and stuff that, things for religion. And then there was the Civil War end of the cemetery. There was like a whole other section that was like really old, and that's where your feet would like sink into like holes and stuff. One time I found a bone. I like to think it was a finger bone, because my brother Seth worked there for a short time before me, and he's like, oh, you find finger bones in the old dell, which is the old section. But I don't remember, and a lot of those headstones you couldn't even read anymore because it was just like so worn out.
They'll get completely worn off. I bet you saw a lot of Masonic symbols, because if you're thinking like,
if someone was a Mason, they had a symbol, right? And they had symbols for jobs. What was the Mason symbol?
It'll be like the what's it called? The thing they use.
Oh,
compass.
yeah.
The compass.
Or the math. Oh, the compass, or is it like that math protractor or whatever type thing? Oh, it is a compass? Yeah, where you like make it walk on a table or whatever, like pirates did.
I mean, that's what everybody does.
Yeah. It was that thing. So that was, what is a Mason? Someone who cut stone? Right?
Well, I mean,
cut his own headstone, basically.
Yeah.
He designed his own thing.
They do that, stonemasons. But Masons were a fraternity of men, so they would be like, if you need stonework done, you would only go to one of your fraternity brothers and things like that. So you all help each other up with your businesses, but it's also a place for men to gather and deal with manly things.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like an Elks Lodge type thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was men's only. It wasn't until like, I don't know, like maybe like early 1900s that they let women have their own version called like Rebecca's, Daughters of Rebecca and stuff. Yeah. Even today you can't join them. There's the first
Who wants to join them then?
I know. Well, I looked into it.
It's like a bunch of grumpy old men.
I'm like really into like the symbolism behind them too. That's like a whole other thing. But there is one women's Masonic lodge, and it's only in Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, have you been there?
I emailed them to like try and join. Because you have to like volunteer hours. It's a community service type thing nowadays. And I was like, well, I just want to make sure, like, are there people there that are going to be my age? Because like, I know that it's aging out. Like, it's all older generations
so
now.
I doubt there's anyone in their 20s or 30s.
And they refused to tell me if there's anyone my age. So I was like, all right, I don't want to like dedicate like 100 hours a week to hang out with a bunch of old people. And I want to be people my own age.
It'd be cool just to say you're in the group, I guess. They'd be like, oh, I'm in the women's Masonic group.
Them, though. Like,
no?
Yeah, because they don't.
Do you get like a card or
anything?
anything? You're just in and you just get to say you're in? That'd be cool.
You do. But yeah.
And then would you be able to put that symbol on your headstone?
Yeah.
If you were, because that makes you technically a Mason, or you're in the Masons Club or whatever?
They have their own symbol. I think the Rebecca's is like a star, and then it has like a symbol on each side, a corner of the star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think about your own death ever?
Oh my God, all the time. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, when you make my gravestone, like, I want it to be like this grand, like, Gothic mausoleum.
So you want to be buried?
Like, no, I want to be cremated.
But have a headstone.
But I just want like something.
Marker.
I mean, even if I like just had it now, just to look at it, because like I'm obsessed with graves.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we could talk about the most beautiful graveyards in the world.
I think you can get your grave before, because when I worked with, people would reserve plots, and there'd be like a section open, and then graves around them, and it'd be like an open section because this family like hasn't died yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can reserve it. I wonder if you could like put your headstone. Does he have his headstone too?
Yeah, it's a pyramid.
Really?
Have you not seen it?
Is it in the Hollywood Forever? Oh, it's New Orleans.
I think so.
I haven't seen it.
It's an actual pyramid. Yeah.
Wow, like a big one.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
Well, not like King Tut's.
No. I mean, but it's like you definitely notice it in the cemetery. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery?
I walked through that one briefly. Yeah.
Okay, I only went once recently, and it was like some like I don't even remember what I was going with my friend, and it was like something about like just some people talking. Old people talking. We were like the youngest people there, and it was the first time I ever went in there, and it was kind of cool just to see like there's headstones, but then there'd be like a building in the middle of an area that didn't have like big buildings, and there'd be like so many random structures from like celebrities that wanted like big theatrical things, and I'm picturing a pyramid like that. I figured it would be in Hollywood Forever Cemetery with all the other ones.
Too expensive.
But
yeah, there's a cemetery not too far from my work, and the funny thing about cemeteries these days is like they want it to be a place where people come to hang out. They try and make them as beautiful as possible so people want to walk through them.
We got a lot of power walkers in the morning.
Yeah.
That was the first people that'd be like before the gates were open, they'd get in and just walk around the cemetery when I would first get there. But yeah, I can see wanting to hang out in the cemetery because it's a grassy tree-ish area, you know?
The Hollywood Forever one, they do the movie on the lawn.
Yeah. I've never seen that. But I've seen pictures of everyone going there.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Still really popular.
But
You live in the Hollywood area.
It's still weird for me. I'm afraid to die, big time.
No way, really?
Yeah,
I
think
man,
about
Death, take me now. Like, over
oh my God, no! I already think I opened a portal in this place by telling these ghost stories. So don't bring Death in here because he'll show up. I know it. When I turned 30, it's like 7 years ago. I think it was around 30. I was very ignorant in my 20s. I just never thought about anything beyond right then. It's kind of like the cliche, like, oh, young people don't think about anything besides what's happening right now. And it's true. But then all of a sudden my mind opened and I started thinking bigger thoughts. And I thought about death all the time. And I do a lot of like physical stunts and things.
Yeah.
And I had nightmares about me like snapping my neck and like daydreams too about like, oh, today's the day I'll die because I'm going to go film this thing. And I'm like, oh no. And it'll make me like kind of like restrain myself from doing the things I truly want to do like in a video. And I don't like that because I don't want to be afraid to die, but I'm so afraid to die because I'm just not ready. I have so much I want to do.
What you're explaining is anxiety.
I guess it is, but
I have
it's a fear, that anxiety of dying specifically too early. And like I'm okay with dying at some point because I know your brain changes, and even already now my mind is different than it was when I was in my 20s. I'm sure when I'm like in my 70s, getting to 80s, whatever, I'm like, all right, whatever. If it happens at some time now, cool. But right now I can't, so I need to try to stop thinking about it. But you're welcoming it. You're like, you don't want to die now, obviously.
Like, like when you're on an airplane and you hit turbulence, you're like, this is it. I'm gonna die, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. I lived a good life. Like I'm happy.
I understand that.
I have thoughts like that
because I can let go in a situation where I'm out of control. I'm like, well, it's out of my control. It actually relaxes you. It's like there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
If I die, oops, I did some cool stuff. Yeah, that in that situation I can understand. But
don't get me wrong, I'm joking. I love my life.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure. But you don't fear it or at all?
I don't.
No.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I never like think about like sitting in a coffin like rotting with like maggots in my skin forever, like because I'm not gonna be there.
Yeah. You won't. Do you think that you go somewhere else or your consciousness goes somewhere else?
It's gonna freak you out, but no, I don't. Like I think that once you're dead, like you're gone. Like your energy is just gone. How do you feel about it?
I feel the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's because I don't know what it is. I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
I still believe there's something. It's because it's comforting to think you go somewhere. I don't know if it's like, because we don't know. No one knows. Unless someone came back and said, oh no, there's heaven. It's pretty cool. I'm going to go back. See you later.
Some people have.
Apparently.
I mean.
But I just don't know. You don't know what to believe until you go there. You know what I mean? So I choose to believe that, because this is what I think. I'm going to cut to a tight shot of me now and just get a little explanation here of how I feel. I feel it's super, your consciousness is different than any other animal. And the fact that we're aware that we're alive, and I said this recently to my friend Bob, a while ago when they were doing they were like not a while ago, like a long time ago, in the 1600s, they were doing like experiments to like shock people and get their bodies to come back to life.
Yeah.
It's like that's what inspired Frankenstein or whatever, apparently. And there were people who were freaking out, they're like, it's coming back to life. But then they realized, oh no, it's not coming back to life.
Yeah.
So that made me think, what is it that leaves you, that shuts you off forever?
Yeah.
Once that's gone, it's off. You can unplug anything else in this world, in our universe that we've created, but a living creature, you can't plug in and unplug.
Yeah.
Why? That means something is in us that is turning us on, that it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
I just also believe in reincarnation. This is gonna sound like a major, not even a humble brag, just a straight up brag. Buster Keaton died. I love Buster Keaton. He died on February 1st, and I was born on February 2nd. And reincarnation apparently starts 15 years to 1,000 years. That's like Indians, Native Americans, I should say. Oops. And what are they? Egyptians. It takes place between 15 years and 1,000 years, according to them. And I was born, like, to the day 15 years after Buster Keaton died. So I like to think, ooh, cool. No one else is doing physical comedy right now, but I am, so I must be Buster Keaton again. So that's just that's a crazy thought. But I do think there's possibly reincarnation, old souls,
Yeah.
It sounds very nice, so I don't know. I just like to believe that.
I mean, yeah,
but
I don't have any solid beliefs or anything, and
Yeah.
like I said, like I love to hear other people's opinions because I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
But
like,
from your just life and the things you've experienced and things you've learned, your perception
I have
is
experienced
now.
things that I cannot explain.
Oh, yeah? Like?
Yeah.
Ooh, please
Oh my god.
tell.
So I didn't find this out until many years later, but apparently there are certain things that are more attractant to spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that people going through adolescence is a big attractant to spirits for some reason, because kids have a better time seeing ghosts. Like, you'll see babies all the time that people think that they're looking at ghosts and things. And also, there's a strange connection between women and spirits. There's been a thing for a long time, people saying that women are a lot more sensitive to it and open to it. So when I was going through adolescence, there were 2 women in my house because I have an identical twin sister.
Oh.
So we were both at the same time, and around that time, crazy things started happening in our house.
Oh, I want to hear.
Yeah, I just still don't have an explanation for this, but the walls in my sister's in my bedroom would bleed wax. Now,
What?
we didn't like burn candles in our room, so it's like not candle wax on the walls. You didn't smoke or
So it was like
drugs or
sweating
anything.
almost?
It was
out?
sweating wax in our room.
What?
And it was totally bizarre. We would, of course, come home from school early, then lay down to take a nap. We shared a room.
Mm-hmm.
And you would hear people walking back and forth through the house. And our room was at the end of a hallway, and then if we looked in the end of the hallway, you could see the kitchen. And oftentimes, you'd get up in the middle of the night, walk past that hallway, you'd see somebody in the kitchen. And we'd ask, who was in the kitchen late last night? Nobody was there. So there were these like shadowy figures that we would see throughout the house. And I would always come to my parents and I'd be like, the house is haunted. Can we please like move? And they'd be like, the house isn't haunted. Like, you're crazy. Go away.
They never saw anything? What did they say with the wax? Oh man.
It gets better. It gets better.
Oh, this is awesome.
So, eventually I get my own bedroom, and it's always been considered the creepiest room in the house because someone had died in there.
What? Wait a second.
Like,
explain that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like,
so before you lived there,
Yes.
the person right before you lived there, do you know?
No, it was one of my family members. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But so anyways, like,
okay, wow.
It was a creepy room. Nobody liked to be in there. It was the room in the house, of course, that had the coldest air, things like that. So people always associated it with the creepiest room. And there was a night I woke up because, like, I felt someone staring at me. You know the feeling when someone's staring at you. And I sit up in bed, and there's a dark, shadowy figure standing in the doorway of my room, blocking the door. And it's the shape of a man.
Oh.
Like, I gotta say, 6'1", 6'2", huge man in my room. Terrified me.
Yeah.
I turn on the TV because it's the closest like light switch I have to me. It's gone. I freak the fuck out. Happens again the next night. They're just standing there, and like when you turn on the lights, they're gone.
Yeah.
So but you wake up because you feel someone staring at you. Like,
totally.
You wake up with that feeling, like the hair is standing up on the back of your neck and your arms. You know something is happening. So eventually I'm sleeping with the lights on in my room for a long time. And my dad goes, you need to stop that. Like, you're burning up the electricity bill.
Wow.
And I finally, like, tell my dad, you know, like, remember I said the house was haunted? Well, like, this is happening to me. And my dad told me, like, the way you get rid of this is you just tell them, you know, you're scaring me, leave me alone.
I've heard that. In all these ghost stories I read, people have thought it when they're like, they can't talk because they're so in shock. And they've said it out loud. And it always stops.
Yeah.
Or stops momentarily, and then it starts up back again. But it's crazy how... That's why I think you go somewhere else when you die, because these ghost stories, and I've read so many, yeah, maybe it's just a common flaw of a human brain, and we trick ourselves into thinking things, and that's why so many people... It's more exciting for me to think, everyone's having this experience, not everyone, but a lot of people are having these experiences, and they're all so similar, and these are complete strangers, different times, different decades, and they're talking to these things that stop, and they're seeing things move, and then it stops, and hearing these noises. So that's why I think we're existing on maybe possibly another plane, you know, or like a dimension or whatever. Kind of like, and like there's maybe we are ghosts to other people.
Yeah, I mean, we could all be existing in the same world, but in different dimensions.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's where this gets like even stranger.
Okay.
So my dad tells me that I do that, the ghost leaves. I never ever see the shadowy figure ever again. And years later, I come up to my dad and I'm like, I don't care what you said. That house was haunted. They moved out of it long since. And like, oh yeah, the house was absolutely haunted, but we couldn't tell you guys that at the time because we didn't want to scare you even more.
Wow.
He said that they had been in bed and seen a Victorian woman run through their room.
What?
And there have been stories of my mom waking up in the night because someone smacked her foot.
Oh my God.
And she actually like felt the physical sensation of it. Thought it was my dad joking around getting into bed. He wasn't in the room. Wow. Things like that had been happening to them too.
Where was this?
In Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, but years later.
This is the best.
Yeah. So I wrote into Mysterious Universe, which is one of my favorite like paranormal podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's two Australian guys. They're awesome. And I wrote in my story, and they read it on air, and they were like, okay, so what you're dealing with isn't a ghost, which shocked me, because I was like, I thought this was a ghost story. They said, no, this is a shadow person. And basically what they are saying is that it's someone who's astral projecting, or somebody who's in another dimension. So that's when you have like an out-of-body experience when you're about to fall asleep.
Oh.
So some people will.
So like if you were doing that here, you would go somewhere else and haunt somebody else possibly.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, no one knew or knows. I mean, I don't know anything about this, but that you would actually even be seen doing it, because some people, they'll do it. Like, for example, they'll fall asleep with a spoon in their hand. Dolly did this for his paintings. Mm. He would fall asleep with a spoon in his hand, and then as he was slipping to sleep, the spoon would slip out of his hand and bang as it hit the floor or a dish, and then he'd wake up in this sleep-like state. So people who are astral projecting will do that, and then they'll be like, I want to visit my childhood home, you know, or things like that, for example, and they'll imagine their childhood home and walking through it, and it could have been a situation like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because we weren't the first owners of that house. Like, someone else had lived there before us. So those are different things, too, that could come into play. I mean, like I said, my house is also a portal for activity like that. That's, like, not the only thing that's happened there. But
you're like the best guest I could ever have. This is awesome.
I mean, I'm so into this kind of stuff. Like, this is like.
So is this kind of what started your interest in all this? Like just your childhood, or were you always kind of like intrigued by it?
I was always kind of intrigued by it. I mean, I was always like really into goth culture when I was in high school and things. So I was really into that. But it wasn't until I started learning about the Victorians and how they mourned death that I really got into things. And then I really started revisiting things that had happened to me. So, because I kind of thought everybody had the same experiences, like weird things that happen, and then, you know, you tell people things that have happened to you, and they're like, that's crazy, like, what?
Yeah. Man, have you ever been to New England?
I haven't.
No?
Wait,
man, you should.
Maybe I did briefly,
like Boston or something.
Yeah, for like a weekend.
There's some good spots.
Yeah?
My parents stay in this place called the Wayside Inn. I haven't like properly told this story on the internet before because I always mess it up. So my parents were gonna like type it out for me, but I can give you the gist of it. There's a place called the Wayside Inn in Massachusetts, and on their anniversary, it's like a very small like inn, like I think there's 2 or 3 rooms you can stay in, and it's haunted by this woman who's apparently like looking for her husband. So she does a lot of stuff to men. The 2 things that happened, and my dad's a very practical guy, but if something weird happens, he'll get excited and intrigued by it. But my mom full on loves ghosts. Just accepting them. My mom does tarot cards.
Oh my
She's
God.
very, very intuitive. And apparently, I talk to psychics and stuff, and my mom, because she kind of got me into that. And apparently, I'm pretty intuitive, and I have said things out loud to my friends, like to see if I'm right, and it'll happen later that day or happen the next day. Things like this, I have this feeling for, and it's a random thing. It happens. And my friend Paul, who's the most scientific, pragmatic person, if pragmatic's the right word, but he's just so like, he doesn't believe in hoobie-booby stuff.
Yeah.
And he'll say, "That was weird. How did you figure that out?" And like Seth is even more so, my younger brother. Apparently, my mom taught us, didn't teach us, but like was open to us exercising this muscle. We did things when we were little. We went to like this psychic and played games like that we didn't realize. We just thought we were playing with papers and stuff, but apparently it was to exercise and see how intuitive you were.
Yeah.
But anyways, my mom is super into it. So my mom is very welcoming for ghosts. So it's a big part of her life. And they go to this place because she wants to see this ghost and experience things with this ghost. And everything always happens to my dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, God. So they went to the Wayside Inn, and they stayed there recently. And the thing that happened in the middle of the night was they were sleeping, and then all of a sudden my dad felt someone grab his thighs and pull down to his feet. And he like woke up, was like, what? My mom woke up, like, what happened? And apparently, then he told her, and he said, oh, someone grabbed my legs, someone pulled down my legs. My mom was like, oh, we're here, hello. She's not talking, nothing happened. And then at some other point in the night before or after that, there was a couple staying across from there. You go up the staircase, and there's two rooms, my parents' room and another couple's room. And you both share the same staircase. They heard the couple coming upstairs talking, and my parents were like, wow, it's pretty late. They're coming up. They're going to bed late. Went down in the morning, saw the couple eating breakfast, and said, oh, you guys came up late last night. And they said, no, we heard you guys coming up late. We were in bed. And they're like, we were in bed. And then they all started talking about it, and they were talking about how they heard two voices, and they started realizing, it was two women. I'm saying it wrong. My mom and dad say it right, so it sounds like I have to like backtrack every time they tell these stories. They heard two voices. It was apparently the ghost woman, and her friend walking up the stairs, and then they never heard a door open. So they thought they just like quietly went to the other room.
Yeah.
And then all four of them were like, whoa, that was crazy. So those are like the two good things that happened there. But I unfortunately don't have like good ghost stories to tell. I just
There's
have
so
things
many
that
places
surround
to go
me.
to have these
I know
adventures.
in New England specifically. So I'm gonna try to go to some places and like do like some research and stuff. I went to the Queen Mary recently.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
I stayed in
the
the
most
Queen
haunted
Mary.
place in
Have
California.
you been there?
I have.
Apparently,
yeah.
it's the most haunted place in the world. They say.
Really?
It says it on a lot of websites. That it's like the most haunted place.
I hear a lot of places that claim that though.
I heard that and like the Winchester Rifle Mansion.
I love the Winchester.
I haven't been there.
That's worth a trip.
Can you stay there?
They did apply for a license to let people spend the night.
Oh, yeah.
But they only have one bathroom in the entire building.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's.
So they did
oh my
like
god, you have to
limited
do a
people.
video on that.
I
'cause
want
that
to.
is- That is enough content to do.
I haven't edited the video that I did on the boat, but I'm very into that boat. So you know the whole story about
the Queen Mary.
yeah,
I
and like the
don't
super
know.
haunted room.
No.
Well,
I know about the doll that moves in the room. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the spirits that they do on the tour, but that's about it.
It's worth going, even if you don't stay on the boat. It's to go and do the tour because it's pretty interesting the stuff they tell you, and like they play it up a little bit. But the guy we had was so deadpan. He was just like, but it was good.
But he was good deadpan.
Yeah, because his jokes would be like. You just didn't know he was joking until he was done saying it, and it was funny. But he'd give a lot of information, and then a funny joke at the end where he just talked like this the whole time. But the haunted room I think is $340, and I wanted to stay in it, but it's expensive. So
But
I got.
let you.
They will, yeah.
Why don't you like Kickstarter
It was
that or something?
closed for 30 years. They wouldn't let people stay in it because so many people were complaining about all the crazy stuff that's happening, and the people were pulling the number off the wall all the time for the door. So like, we're just shutting this down. This is too crazy. They shut it down in like the 80s. So they recently this year reopened it, and we stayed across from it, but it's actually on the other side of the boat. I thought it was gonna be right next to it. And we went over, we're looking at it, and there's no number. Like, oh, this must be it because the number's gone. And it was locked. And I asked the people at the desk, I said, no one's staying in it this weekend. So I knew no one was in there. So we kept messing around by the door. And I'm rambling a lot. I'm trying to tell the story quick. But we were at the door at one point, and we ran into this other couple who had an energy meter, like a heat meter or whatever. It's like a gun. It has a little screen on it. And the guy was like, check this out. So we're looking at all the doors on the boat that were near us. They're all blue. Everything's blue. Points it at you. You're glowing red and yellow or whatever. Points at the two doorknobs of the doors to go in, both red. like bright red. You touch them, they're not hot. And it's not like, and then we did a test. I had grabbed and held another doorknob.
Yeah.
And for a split second, it was kind of orange where my hand was, but quickly cooled down and went back to blue. So it's not like someone was like just touching it and it was still
like
red.
Someone's hand was on it.
They were like someone had an iron on the other side of them, glowing. I filmed that. I filmed his gun pointing at it. It was crazy. So then later in the night, we're walking around. It's 2 a.m. and we see a security guy who we saw like 100 times in the boat.
Yeah.
And he says, he goes, I'm going to check on 340 if you guys want to come in with me. So he brought us into the super haunted room. It was really cool. It's worth it. Off season.
He probably didn't want to go in there alone. That's why he
probably
said that. Yeah,
he was like
hoping
afraid
you guys would come with him.
Well, I'm not the one to protect him. But we looked inside and that didn't seem really weird. It was the nicest room in the boat. Looks totally different from the other rooms. And they had stories from things that happened to them, and they had kind of like painted them in like a nice like calligraphy on the wall in certain spots and said like the name and the date. So in your room you can look around the room and see things that happen to people in there. Yeah. So that's the only place I've gone to that's like haunted. But I'm like trying to get these experiences and things that happen to like your parents. I want to happen to me so bad.
You have to go to Casadega, Florida.
What's that?
It's a spiritualist camp. It's on one of those magnetic center pools that they say really attract spirits.
Yeah.
So all of the psychics and mediums from across America go there for the off season, and it's a spiritualist camp. So you can walk around and they tell you that you're supposed to they have like a list of all of the cards, and you're supposed to find a card that calls to you and then go and see that psychic while you're there.
Have you done this?
I have done this. The one I had was completely wrong though, but I mean really? Each psychic's different.
The card you picked, you mean, or the psychic you got?
Yeah. Well, my mom went when she was younger, and they told her, I see 2 little girls in your future. And my mom was like, I already have 3 sons. There's no way I'm having more kids. She had twins later on.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I totally believe in psychics.
Yeah.
Some psychics. I think the ones that truly have like the instinct and they sense things. The psychic I talked to lives in Florida. Yeah. And I call her on the phone. She was Nancy Reagan's advisor in the 80s. Like, this lady's like legitimate.
Jeez.
And I found her from a friend who's very spiritual, and her whole family has died in the past, and so she would talk to the psychic and these shamans and stuff to like talk to her family members. So and she the psychic would tell her things that like were true about her family that no one would know. I'm so into psychics and tarot cards and like all this supernatural stuff. It's like I'm becoming obsessed. I mean, look at this stupid thing. I'm doing the show right now. I'm like obsessed with it. I mean,
you can obsess with me because like I will tell you everything. Like there's so many places in LA even where you could film in for creepy stuff. Like there's this the most haunted hotel in LA where the Black Dahlia was last seen.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We filmed
there. Oh my gosh.
So and it was terrifying.
It's the place that has been remodeled, right?
Yeah,
downtown.
Yeah.
And that Elisa Lam girl.
What it's called, Montrose or something like that.
Yeah, the new name. You mean? I don't remember the new name. But the place was like that girl Elisa Lam. Do you know that whole story about her?
That was the girl who like was going through the water tower.
Yeah, she went in the hot water tank. They found her body in there.
Yeah.
So I do this a whole other like conspiracy thing with my friends. We do this like conspiracy talk show, and we're gonna go down, film in the elevator, film the whole building. Excuse me, and we're trying to like really figure out if we can get to the bottom of it all.
So cool. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so intrigued by that whole place. But I just recently learned on the way to the boat, my friend who came with me, she's like, "Oh, that's where the Black Dahlia was last seen." Yeah.
So we 2 years ago, my other channel I work with on YouTube is called Game Grumps, and we've wanted to film something spooky for Halloween. So we're like, let's film in this hotel where the Black Dahlia was last seen.
Yeah, you gotta.
So we got like this really nice suite. And we brought like the metal dowsing rods.
So you guys all went?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got metal dowsing rods. We had like.
Is this on the internet already?
And things. Yeah. Oh, we did
what?
This, like,
how come I haven't heard of this?
Well,
really?
Yeah. So we did it as like a joke, right? Like we had this fantastic room. We were going throughout the room. We did like this like joke video about a ghost that was like possessing us.
Yeah.
And then after we're done filming, we were all going to spend the night in the room together, but nobody wanted to stay. That room had the complete worst vibe. Like it felt. Like it was
apparently there was like many murders in that building. Yeah. And like lots of sketchy stuff in general.
Oh yeah, the windows are they won't open all the way because of people going there to kill themselves.
Yeah, I heard
like
that.
It's crazy.
Wow.
The energy in that building is insane. When you first walk in, they have this huge Shining style portrait of like the 1940s or whenever they open it of all the people in suits. Like it's fantastic.
So, man, it sounds I have to go there. I've been talking about that place a lot lately to like all kinds of people. It just keeps coming up. I was at some guy's apartment, it's like a friend of a friend last weekend, and his wife, I don't know how it came up, but she's like, oh, you know the Elisa Lam place. I was like, I'm obsessed with Elisa Lam.
Yeah.
Man,
God, when you watch back that video, it's like, what is she saying? What is she looking for?
Yeah.
Like,
I try to always logically think about like all these ghost stories and things I hear, even the things that happen to me. I could tell you real quick. The one good thing that happened, good ghost story, I guess, that happened to me was I was 20 years old. My girlfriend was sleeping over. She was in my bed. I was on the floor because I couldn't sleep in the bed with her. But I was like really close to the door because I was on the floor. And we're just talking. And then all of a sudden the doorknob jiggles really fast. Like someone grabbed it and shook it. My brother Seth was at his girlfriend's. My brother Josh was at college. My parents were asleep. They don't get out of bed. They were downstairs with the door open. I can hear my parents snoring because it was a very small house. You can't like... The person couldn't have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Doorknob jiggled like crazy. And I was like trying to logically think, what was that? A cat? No, a cat couldn't even reach that to grip it to then jiggle it like that. And the cat is impossible. But you're just trying to think, you know, what these things are. And then shortly after, we heard this creaking. It was a very repetitive creaking, like right at like the door, right outside the door. It was like, ring. And I opened the door again, tried to catch my brother. I thought he was messing with me. Yeah. When I stepped out just over the door, I made the creak. Yeah. And then I turned around and I made another creak. And I was like messing with the floor, trying to see if I could recreate it. And then I was able to recreate it exactly, like by rocking like this. And that's my girlfriend's like, stop, no, you're freaking me out. Yeah. Because it was like, I imagined the ghost
was right there,
rocking and staring at us or something. So then I started talking. I was like, oh, it's okay. Because it made me feel better, more comfortable if I talked to it. Yeah. I was like, oh, we don't mind. Like, you want to show us you're here or something? She's like, shut up. She did not like it at all. Yeah. But that's like the best thing that's happened to me. But I always try to logically think of what it could have been. So seeing the footage of her in the elevator, I'm like, okay, I heard she's like got like mental condition and maybe she's hallucinating or like she thinks someone's chasing her. And then people say that,
how did she get to the water tower?
Well, people say that she possibly jumped in the tank to hide from whoever was chasing her. Yeah. And then the reason she was found naked was because the water was filling up and she took her clothes off to stuff and stop the water from filling up, and it didn't work and she drowned. But I heard naked.
I don't remember if this is true. It's been a while since I followed the story. But the door to the tank was like 80 pounds, and there was no way she could have lifted that by herself, and they wouldn't have just left it open.
I know, and that's what makes me think, okay,
something weird was there.
Someone opened it for her or something got her in there.
Yeah.
It's just
nobody
very
knows.
interesting.
We still don't know
least.
To this day, like what happened with that.
Didn't they investigate more? Or there's like, I don't know.
I just think they just claimed it was like a suicide or something, and they closed it like that. But they just don't have any answers or any leads.
Man,
so.
I'm so into that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
scary stories like
go
that.
There. But yeah, so that you have some pretty good stuff, I guess, happening to you in your house. I didn't know you had it because I thought we were going to talk a lot about like the markings and things. I didn't know all this stuff that happened to you in your parents' house.
Since I moved out of Florida, I haven't had anything paranormal like happen to me since.
Yeah.
And we've moved several times, lived in several different houses in the Los Angeles area. Mm-hmm. I have a real human skull collection. Like I have all kinds of human remains. Nothing paranormal has ever happened in my house in California. So I can say that I don't think that ghosts are attached to the items that I have, but I've heard that other people have had stories like that. So, yeah.
I always wonder if it's
I was debating what to bring with me. Because I was like, I want to
you
bring
have
some things to show you. I do. I brought a couple.
I would love to see some things.
Yeah, so like we said, we were going to talk about Victorian things. So I wanted to bring some Victorian mourning cards to show you because... you remember I said they like to mourn and they really go into it. Yeah. So they would often take photos of...
Doesn't that make you more depressed, you would think? The more you're dwelling on it and thinking about it? Or do you think it helps possibly?
I think it prepared people for it.
Yeah.
Because we don't do that enough today, and that might be why you feel...
Well, people hide their feelings and stuff all the time. Yeah.
Well, and people are telling you, like, it's been a week. Like, aren't you over your mom dying by now? Or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But back then, funerals used to take place in the home.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, so that's why they called it the living room, because that's where you go for the living.
That's right. I knew that. I've heard that. Oh, this is cool. You're like smart. This is like educational.
But people back then would have photos taken after they'd already died, post mortem pictures.
I can't look at those.
Yeah, I have a couple of those at home.
With you? Oh,
not with you, but
do you have
pictures? Yeah.
Wow. Like dead people?
But because that was the only time they perhaps had to take a picture of that person because photos were so new at the time and expensive.
It's like, before he starts falling apart, get a picture of him.
Yeah, I mean, really, yes. Sometimes they would have the body in the house for days before they would have a photographer show up and take a picture.
Isn't that funny how just now you inherently think of a dead body as like, ugh, it's scary, but it's natural. It's the same thing as rotted fruit. Yeah, Why isn't that like, ugh, horrifying?
I mean, it's been so commercialized now that people are repulsed at the idea of having a dead family member in their house. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you go to places like Mexico, all over the world, it's still very commonplace.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So back then, when they couldn't take a photo, a lot of times they would also do cards like these. And these are just different memory cards from like a funeral. So they would give these to people who attended to say that they were there and to remember the loved one. They often have like a prayer on them, the date, the name. Cool. A lot of times they'll have like a picture of the person as well. And these are great collectibles that are like really popular in like this like death society online. I mean, they do multiple colors.
I would think with all this stuff you have, some spirit would be like attached.
Yeah, well, I mean,
each of these, I'm getting creeped out just looking at them.
Like each of these is a different person.
And those are real, from real dead people.
These are real. Yeah, these are absolutely real.
What years are those? What's
this
the date
one's
on those?
1904. This one's 1891. Like they're all over the place.
You give to like all the friends and family who come to the funeral.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the loving memory of
trading card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then this is one from Italy. So even in Italy, they used to do this. And this one's from 1841.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah.
Is that Mary?
Yeah, it's Mary. And then it has like a little quote from the Bible, a prayer on the back. Sorry, I don't know why I quoted prayer. But there's a prayer on the back from the person, and it's about their life. Their name was James Wittish. They were born in Prussia, Germany, 1841.
Wow.
Died in 1828. But yeah, so these are great collectibles. You can get these for like $20 on eBay each. Like, I mean, I've just collected them over the years.
It's weird how like just letters creep me out.
Yeah.
Old time. I don't even want to touch them. Honestly.
Oh my god,
I'm a baby. I feel like a ghost will enter my body if I touch that.
My favorite estate sale, because I go to a lot of estate sales around here.
Yeah. My brother Seth's obsessed with them. He's always looking for old man's clothes.
God.
And I went with him to one down the street.
Old man's clothes?
Yeah, because it says they have like old thin good T-shirts and stuff. So we were at one recently, and I felt so weird being in the house because it's like this guy just died. Now we're like taking his stuff, but I guess it makes sense. It's like recycle stuff, get rid of stuff, and reuse it. But just attaching it to the person that just died, it makes me think like I just feel weird.
A lot of the collection I have was something like that. It was an old surgeon. He was 70 years old when he died. He lived in the Beverly Hills, so he had like this amazing mansion. Wow. He was one of the first surgeons who did shoulder and knee replacements, and hip replacements. So I got a lot of hip joints and leg bones from him that he would use to show in collection.
Real bones.
Real bones. Because he
you said that earlier. That's right. So you would just go and buy you were in his house and there's bones there. It's like, oh, here's this bone. Anybody want it? You're probably the only one that wanted to buy that.
Oh no, they had a twisted skull, and when I wanted that,
what is that?
Like the jaw was like twisted, like it was someone who was born with a deformity, and they used that as an example to show. And when I showed up, that was already gone.
Oh my God.
As they're cleaning out this house, they're finding all these trap doors in the floor. They're finding more things. They found secret rooms in the house because he was like a hoarder. He collected a lot of things.
Oh my God.
And he collected a lot of old photography, tintype photography and things like that. And I bought a lot of his old Victorian photo books. And a lot of those are pictures of post-mortem children and things.
Imagine you're like the stupid burglar that breaks into that giant Beverly Hills house to go and get some. Oh my God, this place is haunted! And you think the person was a murderer or something.
Oh my God, yeah. No,
wow.
Amazing stuff. That was my favorite estate sale I ever went to. He had a lot.
So did you know this stuff was going to be there, or you just knew he was a doctor?
Oh no. Well, I knew that he had the skull, but I didn't know that he would have like more bones. And then they said they had
jackpot.
Yeah, they in the estate sale forum they had listed that they also had tons of medical slides of like thousands and thousands of diseases and illnesses. And they were encased in wax to protect them because they're from like the 80s.
Yeah.
But I was just like, that's not something you should sell. Like, what if somebody got their hands on that?
Yeah. That doesn't seem like a thing that should be out of a biohazard container.
Yeah. But they were selling those too. But yeah, going back to like all of these oddities and things, you can usually find a lot of these cards at estate sales and things like that. But another way that they would remember their dead was they would usually do a thing like this, like a trading card, a photo of the dead person, or they would keep a little capsule of their hair and do hair art.
Oh, so that is that someone's hair in there?
This is a woman's hair from the Victorian era. I believe this one's from 1831.
Oh my
this
God.
was gifted
this
to me
is
from a friend.
Crazy.
Yeah, so
I gotta show this.
they would take a locket of
if you
someone's
can
hair
see
and
this.
keep it for forever, and sometimes intricately weave it.
I don't know if the camera's gonna focus. Let me see if I can rack. Oh my God. This is haunted hair. I hate this. Oh my God. Wow.
Do you have any energy coming off of that right now?
I feel like my fingers are burning.
Yeah. So this is a brooch. They would wear it on a shirt, or a jacket or something. And you would often see everybody had these. It wasn't until early 1900s that people thought it was unhygienic, so they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But everybody back then used to do it.
That's some lady's hair.
Yeah.
From what year?
1831, 1841. Yeah.
160 years ago or something.
Almost
150 years ago about.
It's absolutely insane.
And it's crazy that it's not like rotted away. I guess hair,
no.
was it because it's airtight maybe? Or?
No. Hair actually never disintegrates. That's why you can look at like taxidermy and it lasts a long time. Usually the skin is
because I guess it's like a nail in a way, right?
Yeah. So that's why people...
It's a thin bone, I guess.
Yeah, people used to think that when you died, your fingernails and your hair grew really fast, but it was actually because of the skin receding on the fingernails. That was another weird thing. But yeah, so the hair will last forever.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's so much to talk about on here.
Man, do you listen to that podcast, Lore?
Yes. With Aaron Minky.
Yeah. Yeah. That podcast is so well done because he researches everything.
Yeah.
And most of the stories take place in like New England, so I'm very into it. But he mentions stuff like that, like just all this information you have.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, he did an episode about the doll. What's his name? Oh, it's like Andrew or something like that. I went and visited that doll in Florida. It was a doll.
I don't know about this.
Gosh, what's the name of the doll? I'll remember. Someone in the comments will know. But it was this doll that was given to a kid by a slave of the family, and they wanted to make a doll for this kid. And the kid would have like his room be wrecked and be like, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was him." And the parents were like, "Okay, that's weird." And eventually, like, weird stuff started happening around the house. They started noticing the doll started getting mad, they would say, because he would trash rooms when the kid wasn't even home. They would hear stuff geting tossed around upstairs in the house.
God.
Go up, the room would be wrecked, and it'd just be the doll there.
Wow.
Yeah, so the kid went away to college. So apparently, this part of the story, I don't know how true it is, he went away. They had to lock the doll up. They had to wrap the trunk that he was in with like chains and things. And then when he came back, he wanted to see the doll again. And he kept that doll with him for his entire life. But now it's on display in Key West, Florida. And the wall of his room is covered in letters from people, because apparently if you don't ask the doll's permission first before you take a picture of it, it curses you and bad things will happen. So the wall is covered in letters from people saying things like,
"Please don't curse me."
Yeah, well, I'm sorry I took a picture of you. Please lift this curse. Like, every
Wow.
letter is saying that. It's absolutely insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that what Chucky's based on, you think?
I mean, probably
I
in
feel
part.
like,
I'm sure it's inspired.
That sounds like the real life Chucky.
I mean, there's also that Annabelle doll too, but that's like another
Annabelle, I've
story.
heard about that.
Yeah, that's like also based on another true story. But,
Oh, man.
I mean, depending on how true you want to take it.
I feel like I could talk to you forever about all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my God, it's absolutely a fasciation of mine.
Wow, and you're like really educating me on so much stuff, because I'm just like, I like ghosts, but you like, this is everything. You know everything about it.
I used to want to do a book on graveyard markings, but somebody has since put one out, and I was like, it's already out there. But I used to travel every time I go to a different country. I would want to see their best graveyards, and if you want to see the best graveyards, you have to go to Scotland.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best. In Glasgow, there's one called the Necropolis, and it's just nothing but ancient graves. Like, we're talking from like 1700s to like 1800s.
Wow.
And they're so worn away that you can't even read them
It's
anymore.
just like a stone.
Yeah, and they have like crazy intricate carvings. And there's even Greyfriars Bobby in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and that's where the creator of Harry Potter went around and took names for the characters from the graves.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's
so you
cool.
can
I
go
didn't
to
know
like
that.
Tom Riddle's grave there and things like that.
Wow,
yeah.
that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of Harry Potter tours happen there. Because there's also like the insane asylum that was turned into a school that Hogwarts was based on right outside of that graveyard.
So
yeah.
there's a building that's like super Hogwarts looking?
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the name of that place?
Greyfriars Bobby.
Greyfriars Bobby?
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
look
just
that up.
ancient graveyard. Yeah, it's amazing. I highly recommend
And
it.
the insane asylum is on that property?
Yeah, it's the
Or
graveyard,
nearby?
and then right behind it is there. Like, if you're
Okay.
in the graveyard, you can see it. Like, it's
Okay.
right there. It's, like, within maybe 20 feet. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Man, that's
insane.
awesome. I really want to go to Scotland. Scotland's supposed to be super cool.
It's amazing.
And was it Edinburgh? Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
That town's
they
supposed
call
to be
it
awesome
Edinburgh, too.
anyways.
I went to apparently the most haunted place in Scotland.
Was it a castle?
No, it's underground.
What?
So
is it like a catacomb or something?
Yeah, so they have catacombs in Edinburgh, and under the ground, that's where the impoverished and poor people lived back then. And they gave us a tour of this. It had been filled in with rubble to like stop people from going down there for years and years, but they recently cleaned it out, took out all the rubble, and they were finding shoes down there. There was like a cobbler who worked down there. They were finding broken wine bottles, and they could corroborate each thing to a ghost experience that a guest had had there. And they had names for each of the ghosts and everything. And like, if you ever go to Scotland, you have to go on this.
I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Yeah,
that would be rad. I want to go travel to more. Like, it gives me a reason to go to haunted places. Last weekend I almost went to this place in Ventura. I just searched like places near LA that are haunted. There's a hotel in Ventura that's supposed to be pretty haunted, but I feel like nothing really happened to me besides those glowing doorknobs on the Queen Mary. So like, what's gonna happen at this other place? I stayed in a haunted hotel in Seattle.
Yeah.
Something definitely. I stupidly had a seance. I live streamed it. Frankie came with me. I brought Frankie with me. At that hotel, I can't remember the name of it.
Did he notice anything though? Because usually animals are way more susceptible.
That's what I was going to tell.
Yeah.
And I know that because we had a dog in Massachusetts who would just stare. Her name is Emma, and she would just look, and she'd go like this, and she'd like look around, and we're like, oh, she's seeing the ghost.
Yeah.
She was a pretty calm dog too. She wasn't like really barking, but she would definitely watch it, and then all of a sudden she'd just go back to normal. I was like, whoa, she's seeing the ghost. But I took Frank to I can't remember the name of the hotel. If you just Google, like, it's like the first one that comes up, Haunted Hotel Seattle. It's like the one. I stayed there the night. It turned Halloween when I slept there, and then I left on Halloween to come back here. I just wanted to go for like a day. My friend Allison, who lives in the town where Twin Peaks takes place, or what's that? I can't remember the name of the town.
Cool.
She lives like just outside of Seattle in I don't know why I'm spacing on the town, but it's like where the diner is and everything.
Yeah.
She drove into Seattle and stayed with me. We did like a seance, and nothing really happened. But what did happen was before she got there, I wanted to stay as close as I could to the haunted room because someone was staying in there. Frankie wouldn't go near the door. I had to pass that door to get to our room, and he didn't like it, so he would hug the edge of the hallway. And I was like, Frank, what are you doing? And then he would after we got a few doors past, he would then walk down the center of the hallway.
Know.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's freaking me out. And then I tried to go and live stream the door and show people, because it was what I was doing, like Facebook Live at the time. And it kept losing connection. And I was like, oh, that's probably just coincidence. Did it again. My phone shut off and just did the spinning wheel. I was like, what? This is now I'm breathing into it. That's a common thing
people say when spirits are around. Yeah.
It was nuts. Then one more time I went back. The only thing that stood out was, again, I went back with Allison. I was like, let's go up to the door. Yeah. And we started doing our live stream before the seance. We're going to go to the door. And we walked up, and Frank was like, he's right here. He follows you everywhere.
Yeah.
He's like on my ankle constantly. We were walking to the hallway. He stopped, and he wouldn't go beyond the door next to our room. And it was like down the hallway, 4 doors, and he just sat there and wouldn't move. I was like, he's seen it too much stuff or something. He's not liking going past his door. He was not even coming down the hall. And there's 2 of us. He doesn't like being left alone.
Yeah.
That was a big sign to me, is that, okay, something's up with this room.
Yeah.
And nothing great happened to me. And then the next morning, right before I left, I was on the toilet, about to leave, about to check out, and my doorknob it turned, and the door opened a little bit. And I had closed it all the way.
Yeah.
And it turned and opened, but it didn't like pull open, it just opened a little. So my mind was like, oh, maybe like I didn't pull it all the way. and it like just came undone and like just opened. I was like trying to rationally think about it, but I remember pulling it and clicking it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I pulled it and clicked it, and I got big chills, and that's why I had to start talking out loud. I was like, oh hey, how's it going? And apparently it's like some woman in the hotel. That's all the stories they tell you. But yeah, nothing like solid happened to me there. But I'm trying to go to as many places as I can to get like some good stories.
Oh my gosh, there's so many places to go to. You really got to make the pilgrimage up to the Winchester Mystery House.
Yeah, that is top of my list right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I listened to a lot about stuff on her, and I think there was a lore episode on her, and he talked about just because she just kind of went crazy and was just building until the guy came home, right? She was waiting for her husband.
She did it until she died.
But wasn't she doing it because she thought if she stopped, she couldn't stop adding to the house until her husband came home to her or something? You gotta tell me now.
So worse.
I feel like I need to have you come back for a second episode.
Oh my God, I would love to.
If you tell the story, then I guess we can wrap it up after that.
So she was a Harris of the Winchester Rifle Foundation, not foundation, but company, and she was a very devout visitor of psychics. And a close psychic friend of hers told her, you are being haunted by the people who have been killed by your rifles. So you need to confuse the spirits so they can't find you and hurt you.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so she had to keep building the house to scare confuse the spirits. So there were doors that would open on the second floor and to nothing.
Which makes it even creepier knowing the reason she was doing it, because she was being haunted.
Oh my God. And so there were stairwells that go into the ceiling. You can look up pictures. I'm sure if you watch top 10 haunted places in America on TV, you've seen that featured in one of those type shows. But there was actually a section of the house where she used to live, and there was this huge earthquake that happened, and she got locked into the room, and she had to have servants come and get her out of that room, and she ended up closing that side of the house off completely because she said that the spirits didn't like her building in that direction, and that was them tormenting her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So many crazy stories.
I didn't know that it was that, but I listened to that episode. Maybe I just didn't remember that. That's even creepier. I just remembered it being, she was just kind of lost her mind and was just adding to the house because she missed her husband or something like that.
She didn't have a spouse after he died, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man.
I don't know. They do all kinds of tours there, though. You can go under the house. We did a tour of underneath the house and the house itself because they had to have a coal shoveler down there. They even tell you stories about Teddy Roosevelt coming to the house because he wanted to meet her and congratulate her on her amazing house. And a servant.
And he's like, what the heck?
a servant answered the door. I don't know if you would say servant, even maid. Yeah. A maid came to the door and was like, if you want to apply for a job, you got to go around the back like everybody else. And he never came back.
Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Like there's so many stories about that house. You have to do an episode just on that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm so motivated right now to do all this. But I get so scared. It's like I kind of think this is probably. What if this is I'm so afraid of death? What if this is what kills me? That ghost's gonna haunt me so bad. It's gonna I'll just have a heart attack.
You just need to come to terms with it that you are going to die one day. Make yourself comfortable with it, and then live the best life you can now while you can.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to.
And just read as many ghost stories as I can.
Yeah.
Because then I'll start reading these ghost stories, and they'll be like, oh, we know you. You were talking all about us, and I'll make friends when I get over there.
Maybe you're too scared and the ghosts know. Maybe you need to try and open yourself up more to the experiences.
I bet you more would happen to me.
Because you might be holding yourself back a bit more.
I think I would experience a lot more if I did open myself up like that and was more accepting, because I think ghosts are waiting to knock on my door. Yeah. I honestly feel that way.
I mean, from what you're saying, they're actually on the doorknob several times now.
Yeah, that was waiting. And that guy, the couple that was there, they go there all the time. They live in Long Beach. He's like, we come here all the time. He's like, we never saw these glowing like this before. So we're going, sparkles on here, and the ghosts are red hot right now.
There's something about you and doorknobs.
My doorknob. I didn't even realize that.
It's
That's
the story of you sleeping on the floor and the doorknob, the hotel room in Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, and the Seattle one!
And then the one on the Canary. There's something about you and doorknobs and ghosts. You need to investigate this more.
That's freaking me out. Oh, God. Okay, well, we just proved it. I'm haunted. Just figured it out. All right, well, thank you for joining me,
Thank you for having me on.
I'm so happy you came. This has been awesome.
Yeah, of course.
All right, well, that is the whole story. I'm Nathan Barnatt, former Gravedigger from New England. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.